You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast for our final IPL team preview, the end of part 2 if you're on audio, the end of the 10-part video series if you are on YouTube. So it's my final chance to remind you until we do our IPL preview show, where we'll be talking about our predictions, answering some questions, doing a snake draft for various categories: top runs, top wickets, top fantasy points. I'm sure we'll come up with some nonsense stuff and picking a top flop. That always goes down really well, the top flop. So make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, all of that so that you continue to get our content pumped into your brain. I like to think we're kind of the opposite of some social media in that we tend to do overly long form pieces of content and are, generally speaking, quite bad at the short, in-your-face, attention-grabbing stuff, much to our detriment. Like, if we had a different strategy, we'd probably be a lot more successful.
We're going against the grain of literally everything.
It's our intelligent listeners. That's what we're doing. We are pandering to an audience who has got a higher level of intellect and they've got a higher attention span and they like to know what's actually going on. They don't just want a fanboy podcast. They want intricate data analytics, and that is where budding analysts like Max come into things.
Do you want me to give you some data analytics?
Oh, yes, please.
2/3 of our listeners and viewers don't subscribe or follow.
What?
2 out of 3. So if you're one of those people, come on, man. Like, help us out.
We're here every week.
Yeah, you're here every week. We know you're finding the content. We know you're a return viewer or a return listener, but you're not subscribing. And that's the measure of our value. Let's talk Punjab Kings.
Come on, give it to me. This is like Sunrises on the first part. This team are batshit.
They are batshit. Also known as Punjab Kings 11. Also known as the Kings of Comedy. Captained by Shikhar Dhawan and coached by Trevor Baylor. So let's start with a good point for PBKs, the Comedy Kings. They're the 2 coolest customers in the IPL. Like, if you were going to hang out on the beach with 2 guys, a coach-captain duo in the entire IPL, it would 100% be Bayliss and Dhawan. Not even close. They're in a league of their own when it comes to, whose opinion I would trust on a good band to listen to or a film to watch. Is that going to lead to great cricket? The evidence would suggest probably not. But they're nice guys. Last year, Sam Curran picked up some games when Dhawan was injured. So we might see a little bit of Curran. We've got to remember as well that Dhawan is 38 years old. So I think it's a fair bet that he won't be captaining all of the 16 games that Punjab Kings will play before they win the IPL in 2024. Kit review, no idea what it will look like. Probably red and grey, maybe with a bit of black, possibly some gold. There you go. Strength. My note here says, damned if I fucking know. And I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean that, like,
there are so many of them.
This team could go in so many different directions. They're the
Pakistan. They're the Pakistan of the IPL.
Yes, they're the Pakistan of the IPL. I know that they're going to be good at something. I just don't know what it is at this point in time. Now, in theory, like, they're not. There's definitely going to be a team in this tournament who are just outright crap all the time. Punjab Kings aren't that team. Punjab Kings are going to be good at some stuff, maybe lots of stuff. We just don't know what, and we don't know who. Theoretically, it probably should be the bowling. Look at the seamers. You've got Arshdeep Singh, you've got Rabada, you've got Nathan Ellis. That's blockbuster. That is really, really, really good. Then you've got Rahul Chahar in the spin department, and you've got Sam Curran and Liam Livingstone as the kind of all-round options in theory, based on what we think they'll do. And then they've got some other guys as well who can be bits and pieces. Go on, Ross. Harshal Patel didn't even include him in the strength section, but yeah, 100% you're going to see overs from him, and that gives them like a nice amount of flexibility as well, because they can drop Curran, pack a little bit more bowling in. They could drop Rabada or Ellis and pick an extra overseas batter. So there is a jigsaw that they could assemble that will be good. I'm just sort of saying their bowling in general is quite good. Do you want the weakness? So there is some stats here. So I hope you like them if you're listening. Otherwise, maybe fast forward a little bit. Basically, this team has got a huge batting stability problem. Now, what I mean by that is that they get out too much. And a good stat to look into when you're thinking about teams' batting stability is balls per dismissal. If you look across the IPL as a whole last year, it was about 21 balls per dismissal. That was the average, rough average number of balls faced per time somebody was out. For the Punjab Kings, it was 18. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it translates to about one extra wicket falling per match, which means obviously as you get towards the back end of the innings, a worse batter than other teams is likely to be at the crease if you're Punjab Kings versus the rest of the IPL. And we did see that quite a few times, them collapsing and like some random guy coming in and scoring at one a ball, trying to hold up an end. Or like 3 or 4 wickets falling in the power play and then someone just batting really slowly for 5 overs so that they actually completed their innings. That's how that manifests itself. Now, you'd think that with low stability will come high runs. That actually isn't what happens. Like they scored at a very average rate as a batting unit versus the rest of the IPL this last year. So they got out too much. They didn't score that quickly. That's not great. If we look a little bit deeper, again, looking at balls per dismissal here, they only have one guy who's, even remotely good when it comes to balls per dismissal. And looking at that stat, that's Shikhar Dhawan. He had some injury problems and he wasn't like miles. He wasn't like right up the top of the table. He wasn't like a super stable batter like Gill or something like that or Kohli. He was still getting out every 29 balls. The next best after him, and this is why it was a real problem for them, was Taidi, who was at the league average 21. Every other Punjab Kings player was getting out more than the average batter in the IPL, which is it's an issue. That's the only way to put it. Now, it's possible with a little bit more maturity, maybe someone like Prab Simran Singh, who did get a century last year, improves in that area.
Is that Dan Weston's famous snake dream?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Or maybe Jitesh Sharma, maybe not Jitesh Sharma, but Jitesh Sharma's bats near the end of the innings. Maybe he has a few not outs and like helps out.
He has a Rinku year.
Death batting has a Rinku year. So there's a couple of things. Liam Livingston was pretty crap last year. Maybe he comes back to his best. Maybe Shikhar Dhawan
wasn't there, was he? Bairstow wasn't there.
This is true, but like I'm pointing out that's what the problem was. Like they on paper look like a really exciting batting team, but that's no good if you're just getting bowled out or having to limp through your innings.
Maybe it was just bad luck last year.
It happened the year before that as well.
And that
so
different team then, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think it's a thing that they need to address, and the problem that they have is that they don't really have players that are obviously capable of addressing it. So I'll do my 11 in a second. I didn't have Bairstow in my best Punjab Kings 11. He might be their best option to address this stability problem, but his balls per dismissal, number is only mid-20s, so he's only slightly above average himself. Riley Russo, someone they spent loads of money on, he's getting out every 18 balls, and we've got a big sample for him, 84 innings.
What's the highest? What's like the top 10% of balls per dismissal?
For balls per dismissal, I can tell you that, Max, and I can give you that to the absolute. What's it called? The thing.
Decimal?
I can tell you that in a second.
Yeah.
I'll get that up in a second. So no, hold on. Here you go. You derailed me a little bit, but I can tell you what an elite batter would be when it comes to balls per dismissal. 26.1 would be across the whole of T20 cricket.
T20, yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, so it's not stupidly high, but it shows like how far below good any of their players are, apart from Dhawan, who was actually quite good. Anyone want to say something?
I like them.
Okay.
I just it's a vibe thing. We've definitely got Bazball sneaking into the brain here, but I just it's fun. It's an exciting side. They could be great. I do think though, they could really do with 5 overseas slots. If they had 5 overseas slots, they'd be amazing, I think. And the reason they're possibly going to be a bit of a lottery is because they can only play 4. But I don't know. I like it. I feel good about Punjab. I like them.
I don't fully buy it. I think I really want to. I think they're a really fun team. I think the way they play is exciting, but I don't think they're quite good enough to pull it off with the bat. And I think where some of the players in their team are going to have to bat just really doesn't suit them. I think they've got a few too many. I think they've got a few too many number 5s, a few too many number 6s. They should have done a trade and brought in, I don't know, like some kind of Patadar type player. Padakal would have been a really good player for this team, but they didn't, did they? They sort of doubled down on it, and they're going with the team that they had last year. And I think having so many guys that are just extremely volatile is a problem.
That's why they're fun,
car for the car, I just went for a clown car because that's what you two suggested, and that seems like what a team that we call the Comedy Kings should drive. And also, like, really, yeah, like a monster truck could kind of work. I also just sort of ran out of cars that I knew about. I know like some town cars, Ford Fiesta, Seat Leon, but none of these are going to apply, are they? Then I know some fast cars, but as we established on the last podcast that we did, I only really know the brand, Ferrari. I can also Google car facts, like most.
You can have what about a smart car? That's a town car. That's a bit like a clown
smart car.
The words smart and Punjab Kings don't go together, do they?
Yeah, but smart cars are stupid.
They are short, like the number of the innings length.
Yeah, they're a mini. They're a mini. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, they're a mini. Yeah, they've got a little bit of power, but they are all quite lightweight. Playing 11. I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. Not everyone loves numbers, and so they're probably all bored. But people who do will really like it. Prab Simran Singh and Shikhar Dhawan to open. Taidi to bat 3. Liam Livingstone, Sam Curran, Jitesh Sharma in the 4-5-6 role, which arguably is a place too high for all of them, but kind of Jitesh shouldn't be batting below 7. So there's too many guys in that pack. I think Harshal Patel will get game time probably at number 7 or 8. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to go through my 11 with Rabada, Ellis, Arshdeep, and Chahar. So overseas players, if you want them, I went with Rabada, Ellis, Livingston, and Curran. Russo on the bench, Bairstow on the bench, Sikandar Raza on the bench, and the other guy, whoever that is, also on the bench. And I'm making an emphasis on that because a few people asked us about who we thought the overseas players for Punjab Kings would be. Harpreet Brar and Rishi Darwan.
Is going to get a rollout, mate. You don't think?
Chris Wokes, of course. Maybe. I mean, like Wokes isn't. If Sam Curran goes wrong,
yeah.
I think there's a possibility, or any of them actually. I mean, like Wokes is a sort of okay backup, isn't he? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Harpreet Brar and Rishi Darwan, potentially the guys that will come off the bench. Ross, you have lots of thoughts about Punjab Kings, and I can see that you've been gagging to get them out there. So go on, tell us.
I think Bairstow coming back is going to be a really interesting thing for them. I think it kind of adds something to it, but again, there's no guarantee in this team, and they are a complete lottery, aren't they? They are literally, you just do not know what you're going to get out of this kind of conundrum. And I think someone like Sikandar Raza might kind of be a bit frustrated. Last season, he played kind of more games than we probably anticipated him playing, and he was, I think, pretty decent. I think I've got no numbers to back up whatsoever, but from my memory, Sikandar Raza was one of their better players, and he's going to be kind of surfing the bench this season, which is a little bit of a shame. But I do think they've got a pace bowling lineup that is exciting. Arshdeep Singh is one of the best T20 players that they've got, and probably in the top 3 best death bowlers is how I'm kind of in my head. Like, he's pretty good on the whole. And I think with Rabada, they've got a wicket taking threat, and then the mix of kind of Rahul Chahar, Harshal Patel, I think they're going to be able to get kind of 20 overs out from people that you want to bowl typically, and actually quite a lot of teams just don't have that. You look at RCB, they might have 10, and I think that what they've done is exciting. But this team is very boom or bust. But because the season is so short, like, it could be one of those freak seasons for them. That is one of those bits where they could go on a ridiculous run, and that you're sitting there going, "How the hell have Punjab Kings become the champions?" But you could also be sitting there going, "Yeah, I'm not that surprised they finished 10th and they lost kind of the majority of their games." Like, they are such an exciting team to follow, and I think they'll be probably in the middle hunt for the playoffs, just purely because of that volatility.
I think they're an interesting one. Like, Max, so you said you quite like them. Can you, in your head, imagine some distribution curves, so some bell curves?
It's my favorite thing to do.
Like, if you I think if you look at the different teams in the tournament and you think about how many wins they could get, you'd say that the average number of wins the Mumbai Indians are going to get is like 9, say, over a season, and there's a possibility they go up to 10, 11, or even 12. And on the other side, maybe they'll get 8, 7. The bottom end for Mumbai Indians, I'd say, is 6 wins. Like, that would be a disaster. That's like the world's worst scenario for Mumbai Indians. And then on the other end, let's say Delhi, we think they'll probably win. I think they'll win about 6 matches, but they could win up to 9 if things go really well, and they could lose. They could be down to 3. Punjab Kings,
is basically the flattest curve you can imagine.
Yes, I've got no clue. They could win all 14 matches. Like, I think there's like an equal chance of any of the outcomes for Punjab Kings. Like, am I right, or am I, projecting something?
I think that's not an outrageous thing to say. I think they're going to be anything could happen. They're great. It's going to be so much fun. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they pick Johnny Bairstow and have to drop one of Nathan Ellis or Kahisa Rabada, which would be a real shame for their bowling, but they would still be able to get 20 overs out of people that they're probably happy to bowl. You got probably, you're looking at 16 from Arshdeep, one of Rabada or Ellis, Rahul Chahar and Harsh Patel, and then Sam Curran, Liam Livingston can bowl at some combination. Taylor could turn his arm over if he needed to, but I think they've still got options there, and then that does give them that extra bit of ballast with the batting, with Bairstow playing, that maybe gives them that little bit more, of not stability, but depth, in the sense that if they do lose bunches of wickets, they're not immediately running into people who can't really bat. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do see them go down that route. But yeah, I mean, I cannot wait to see what they do. It's going to be so much fun.
They play at the IS Bindra Stadium, which is, you see, like, kind of below average number of 4s, but a higher number than average of 6s. So it's kind of a bit of a weird ground. And also, it's a really good ground for the seamers to take wickets on, but they get smacked. So, just kind of weird cricket. It fits the Punjab Kings vibe that their cricket ground doesn't really make any sense. It's, if you're a spinner, your bowling average for spinners last year was 40 at this stadium. That's nuts. That's off the charts for the IPL. But the economy rates were really good. So, like, what was going on there? Nobody could explain this. Punjab Kings. My prediction, like, I genuinely want them to do well. I really want them to do well, but I can't see how they avoid regularly folding with the bat, and I think for that reason, if I were a dragon, I'd be saying I am out. Which is probably a little bit of a niche reference.
Very niche.
I think probably bottom half for the Punjab Kings. I think that's it. I think that's our IPL preview series done. As I said a little bit earlier, we will be back doing a snake draft for top runs, top wickets, who's going to make the playoffs, who's going to win it, will it be Dhoni's last season? We'll be answering loads of questions as well, so make sure you follow us at The Cricket Pod on Twitter or Instagram, so that you can get your questions in when we ask. And if you want priority when it comes to those questions, we'll be going to our Patreons first, patreon.com/The Cricket Board. Big thank you to everyone that keeps us going there. That's they basically are the people that are the producers of the show in the Hollywood sense. They put the money up. We're Cillian Murphy and Emma Watson. No, who won
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone. And
stop it now, or you expose yourself to not knowing anything pop culture related as well as cards.
I know quite a lot about films, but yes, not much about Dune 2 and not much about the Oscars last night, which has been exposed recently on the podcast. Thanks very much for listening. That's the main thing. Have a good one. Enjoy the IPL. Tell us where we're wrong in the comments. That's always makes us laugh. And tell us where we're right as well. Goodbye.